Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Julene with Jovi Star Astrology. I hope you're all doing well today. We are in a very karmic day today. Not that we're not in a karmic a karmic time frame in period with the eclipses coming up this month. But today it's really, I think, starting to kick things off in terms of this eclipse that's coming up on the 14th for sure. Today we have a Mars, the planet of action and passion, in the sign of Libra, becoming exactly conjunct the South Node, which is the past, right? It's the past. It's also an entry and an exit point. And we're talking about Mars, which is action, and passion, like I said, and or both. And that Mars is a ruler of Aries, where the North Node is sitting on the other side, exactly opposite, and in Aries. And so even more passion and action. Now, Mars in Aries is going to be tempered a little bit, and I've said that before. So when we're talking about things like relationships and what's fair and what's balanced, what we're negotiating, Mars is tempered down a little bit in Libra, but conjunct the South Node today. This is bringing up something karmic. So if you find yourself that needs to change, right? It's something that has to be addressed. But if you find yourself in a situation that is familiar within a relationship, or with any kind of relationship to anything, right? Whether it's at work or it's with your partner, or just trying to reconcile in your mind something that happened in a past relationship, a behavior within a relationship. Today is the day that those things might start nibbling their way up into your consciousness or into your reality today. And there are a couple of other transits that are happening too, that could be adding some fuel to the fire. And so we're going to take a look at the chart. I'll point out a few things. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time today, just kind of point out what's going on right now, and just reinforce the fact that things are sort of tripping one another off. Things are being tripped off as we enter into this eclipse season. So I'm going to throw the chart up here, and we'll take a look, and I'll show you what's going on here. Now, Mars does conjunct the South Node, frequently, but this is a Mars that's conjuncting the South Node right before an eclipse. So this is pretty significant. All right. Let's take a look at what we're talking about here. So here we have Mars in the sign of Libra. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to draw. We have the sun in Libra too, but we already know that. I already talked about that. We have Mars in the sign of Libra conjunct the South Node of the moon. And that is all about evolution. It's all about karma. And listen, when we talk about karma, it doesn't mean that it's bad karma. Karma is not a dirty word. Karma is just what it is. It is, there are things that we have to work through and we have to resolve, and they have to evolve, whether they're from the past or things that are coming up currently, if things coming up from a past life even. But today is Mars is dancing with the South Node opposite the North Node in Aries. Ruler of Aries would be Mars. Okay, so now that you get a picture of that, what makes this even more karmic and more specific to the change or the turning point that is occurring right now is that Pluto over here in the cardinal Earth sign of Capricorn is squaring the nodes and Mars is there. So when you have a very powerful planet like Mars that's going to create some kind of movement, especially in a cardinal sign, which is initiative and wants to move, squaring a planet like Pluto, although retrograde, in the Earth sign of Capricorn, something is changing, right? The universe says, we're at a turning point. Something has to change. Something's coming back in for us to deal with, or we are cutting something out. We're processing that karma, and it is being cleared and exiting through the South Node. So the South and North nodes, depending on where you're at in your process and what's going on, something could be coming in, something could be going out or being released. Those that have cardinal placements, so if you are a Libra or an Aries, Capricorn, or Cancer, you are anywhere from right now, for the purpose of this Mars conjunct the South Node, you want to look to the later degrees of the cardinal signs. So because Mars in the South Node is at 25 degrees, you can look for something that is close, 22 degrees to even 28 degrees of Libra, Capricorn, Aries, or Cancer. And there's something in your life that is likely shifting. And depending on what house it is, it might be pretty significant. So this could be pretty impactful for some people. And because, again, Mars in Libra is tempered down a little bit, just might be showing its face, right? Rustling up underneath the surface. And we have Mercury here at 29 degrees of Virgo, which is an anaretic critical degree in the Earth sign, mutable Earth sign of Virgo. And today, Mercury enters into the sign of Libra. Now, why I mention this is because right when we get to this eclipse on October the 14th, Mars is going to have passed over, obviously, the South Node and will be in Scorpio. Now, Mars in Scorpio is not tempered. So what's going on here in terms of negotiation, how you're feeling, in a relationship? Is something fair, something balanced? What are you talking about? What's going on? There could be, there's going to be movement forward, and whether that's movement forward in terms of an elimination of something, right? A fork in the road, something's changing. There's tension there. And Mars in Libra, square Pluto is pushing that change, pushing that tension, and Pluto is assisting in that, if we want to use that word. But when Mars goes into the sign of Scorpio and is in its home sign in Scorpio, Mars is one of the rulers of Scorpio, it's not as tempered. And Mars in Scorpio is likely to hit its mark, its death mark even. So, and that is where I think when I look at this, where whatever's happening here, where the change is actually being forced through, if it hasn't been negotiated out up to that point, and the result will likely be final. So it's kind of like, the dart that, hits you right in the heart. I know there's a story about that somewhere. Is that the David and Goliath story? I don't know. If you guys know, put it down in the comments and let me know. But this is a ramp up of what is being worked out, acted out up until this eclipse. So, we know we have a lot going on in terms of negotiating and what's fair, what's balanced, out there in the world. With all the workers and things that I mentioned before, but these things could be happening in your life, and you could be feeling this tension, the tension that something is going to change. Now, today I want to advance this a little bit and show you that today we could actually, I mean, there's actually a window here of opportunity to have, you know, a good discussion or two, right? To be able to maybe work things out. So we have the moon down there in Gemini, coming into its last quarter phase, before it starts to move into the position where we will have this full moon. And let me get it closer to 25 degrees so I can show you. And this can be intense because you know, it's going into its last quarter phase, but it's making a trine to Mars in Libra, which right now could be very, very helpful in terms of applying logic, sussing out the details, having a you know, a decent conversation. Now, you know, Mars in Libra, especially since, you know, by then that's just a couple of hours. Here where I'm in Phoenix, that'll be tonight about 8:30. Mercury will be in Libra too. So we're having, you know, we're feeling a little bit more agreeable. And so if there is a tense situation going on, you're feeling some kind of familiar thing, something's coming up that you're having to deal with in any kind of a relationship, the window of opportunity is really good for being able to see things pretty clearly and take some kind of logical and even fair and balanced action. This strike with Kaiser Permanente, I was reading more about that, and I actually saved some information on it because I wanted to use it as an example. So okay. So actually, this strike can affect 13 million people, right? Kaiser Permanente serves 13 million people, has 39 hospitals and 600 medical facilities. And so they started the strike today. Now it's supposed to be a 3-day strike only for support workers, nurses, and ancillary service workers in their healthcare system. But you know, this may show, and I can't imagine, I think, you know, I would hope that they're not working 9 to 5 on something like this because we're talking about patient care. But you know, tonight might be when they actually are able to sit down and come to an agreement and have a conversation. Possibly, we'll see what happens. I'll check the news tomorrow. But in your personal life, this would be a window of opportunity to at least, you know, have a bit of a level head. You do have to be careful because of the square to Neptune. So there can be some confusion. You just want to make sure and double check your facts, and, you know, can also soften things up. You know, if there are any issues, you can, you know, you can choose do you want to soften things up, you know, inject a little feeling and insensitivity into the situation, or do we want it to dissolve, right? Neptune. So that's where there is, they're all, if you notice, at 25 degrees. So a square and a trine. Is that a square and a trine? Let's see. No, a sextile and a trine. Sorry. Very harmonious overall. Sextile and a trine. So there's an opportunity to balance something out. Just want to make sure that the emotions are balanced and the facts are clear, but it's a good time to do something like that if you're in a situation right now. But I think that again, this is, you know, we're leading up to this eclipse and things are starting to pop off. It's a good to take advantage of all of this Libra energy right now, because we are feeling a little bit more fair and balanced, or at least we have the ability to tap into that if we so choose. But one thing for sure, something is changing and moving forward. So that is what's going on. Mercury going into the sign of Libra today, and Mars conjunct the south node of the moon, square Pluto. A little bit later today, trine the moon in Gemini, and sextiling Neptune in Pisces. So let me know how you all are doing. I mean, one thing we know for sure is with the North Node in Aries and Chiron moving through Aries, we're talking about healing personal wounds here, and creating a future or learning a lesson about ourselves, Aries, and our ability to take action and create a life, and participate in things that are new and different. That's Aries. That's a good expression of Aries. But Aries can also be a little bit impulsive if it's not balanced, and it can be aggressive. So this is the whole Aries Libra nodal axis transit is, can we be fair and balanced within relationships? Can we capture what it is that we need and what we want to do, in our own happiness, and still consider the other party, right? Party or parties, the other side of the situation. We do have Mars. I want to just point that out. We have Mars sextile our own self-expression to be able to get what it is that we need. It also allows us to access some level of creativity if we're negotiating something. So that's harmonious too. It can be a little tricky, if we wanted to get even more in depth, in that we have two yods. And I talked about a yod that occurred with Venus like back in July when she first went retrograde. But we do have a yod here, which we call the finger of God. And basically that's a quincunx from the planet Venus, in this case, to the planet Pluto, which is sextile Neptune, and quincunx right back to Venus, which makes Venus the apex. And so we're talking about Venus and Leo. And again, it relates. Venus rules Libra. It indicates that in order for us, quincunx means that these energies really may not be exactly clear. We could feel something intense. We could be a little bit confused, or it could just be happening, around us and for us, and we're not relating the situation or the feelings to exactly what is trying to be accomplished or felt through this Venus, which will be the apex. And so usually when you're talking about a finger of God, which is two yods in a sextile, something generally ends up being sacrificed, right, as a result of focusing on the apex planet. So, we know that Pluto and Neptune back in the sextile here is kind of, removing things in the collective, and maybe even within our lives, if it's aspected in our chart, that will serve a higher purpose, right? That, things that may be shifting or being removed that were destined in some way or might be for our highest good. So we have that yod going on, the apex, with Venus being the apex. And we also have another yod to Neptune. We have Mars here in Libra and Venus in Leo, creating that sextile I was talking about. We've got a quincunx to the planet Neptune. And so we know that Neptune brings things to a higher level of consciousness. It can be magical things that happen out of nowhere. I like to look at Neptune in a positive way as well. But the other side of Neptune is that it is dissolving. It can create an ending of sorts, but it is very sensitive and very watery. And so work this Mars and Venus, right? Which is, I think, more, in our consciousness, in our material world, right? They're personal planets, and Neptune is an outer planet. So it's a little bit more otherworldly and transcendent. But it is the apex. So it's kind of, maybe encouraging us to, if we are feeling fuzzy, or we do feel that spiritually we understand and we hope and we believe and we're sensitive to what is going on here, we can hold our ground there, and we may see that magic happens. On the other hand, like I said, something could be sacrificed here, and again, you have to look at it as maybe the timing wasn't right. Things are being reshuffled around. Something could be sacrificed there when it comes to the interaction between Mars and Venus to the planet Neptune. Okay, so that's what's going on today. We have, and I don't think I'm going to do a video on Mercury entering Libra specifically. I talked a little bit about it here, but we do have other transits occurring here in the next few days, and one would be Pluto, that's going direct before the eclipse, and I'll certainly talk about that and hopefully come up with a video with a comparative example of things that are going on. I talked about that a little bit a few days ago, and so working on that. I don't have time to do that today because my grandson has a football game. things going on, but I wanted to pop on here and just point out these transits and see how all of you are doing with all of this today, and whether or not you have anything to share regarding a relationship or an argument, a negotiation, a legal issue, something going on, or are you just, processing things from the past in some way? Also, too, with this Neptune involved, there's dreams. Pay attention to your dreams tonight. You may have had some last night, but this is a very, this time, it's very possible to sort of receive information through your dreams as well. Okay, and they might be confusing. All right, so hopefully you guys are all doing well. Have a great rest of your night. I am going to stop the share. There we go. Thanks for being here. As always, if you have any questions or you have any comments, drop them down below and I will reply to them. If you'd like to take a look at your birth chart, my email and my website is down in the description box. I would love to chat with you. I will see you again in a couple of days. And until then, may the stars forever be in your favor. Take good care. Bye for now.